Through a child's eyes, a hospital can seem like a scary place. Long hallways, people wearing strange clothes, machines making strange noises. But the more a child knows about the hospital, the less he or she has to be scared about. So let's follow our friend Allison as she is admitted to the University Medical Center of Eastern North Carolina. Her family doctor referred her to the ECU Pediatric Outpatient Center for some tests and a checkup. When Allison and her mom arrive, they have to register. This means answering questions about where she lives and her parents' names and insurance information and things like that. In the exam room, it's a lot like her own doctor's office. The nurse takes her temperature and weighs her and sees how tall she is and takes her blood pressure. And she finds out what medicines Allison is taking at home and why she's here to see the doctor. Some kids have to go to the lab to have their blood drawn. The blood helps a doctor see how a person is doing on the inside. Allison sits real still and is real brave when the needle goes in. After it's over, she gets a Band-Aid and a sticker. While she's waiting to see the doctor, Allison gets to play doctor and nurse with a doll in the playroom. And then it's time for the doctor to check Allison's eyes, ears, mouth, and reflexes and listen to her insides. Allison thinks it tickles when the doctor presses on her tummy. The doctor tells Allison and her mom that she needs to be admitted to the hospital for medicine and special tests. Allison will go to the Children's Hospital admitting area, but some kids may ride in an ambulance and be admitted to the hospital through the emergency department. At the admitting desk, Allison and her mom answer more questions. She and her kitty cat also get special bracelets with their names on them. Next stop, X-ray. Here the technician takes her into a room with a special camera that takes pictures of her insides. It's called an X-ray. To get an X-ray of her chest, Allison has to hug a box and take a deep breath. Another kind of X-ray is called a CT scan. Allison says it was kind of scary at first, but now she thinks it's fun riding on a bed that moves, and she pretends that she's in a tunnel. When Allison gets to the pediatrics floor, Nurse Tammy takes her to the treatment room to start her IV. Tammy tells her what's going to happen as the child life specialist reminds her to hold still. The IV is connected to a pump and a pole which give Allison medicine. When Allison gets to her room, Tammy shows her around, explains how to work the TV and the VCR, how to make her bed go up and down, and how to call a nurse. Tammy says there's also a bed for her mom to sleep in. Allison has lots of visitors, like doctors and medical students, coming in to see how she's doing. All of her food is brought to her room on a tray. She gets to pick from a menu what she's going to eat the next day with the help of a nutritionist. The child life staff talk to Allison about her surgery the next day and show her a book with pictures of the operating room. Allison will get her own surgery clothes, just like the doll that the child life specialist is using to explain what will happen during surgery. Some kids like to visit the operating room the day before surgery. The next morning, a transporter brings a special bed with wheels to take Allison with her mom to the operating room. There are smiling nurses working at the desk when Allison first enters the operating room. Her first stop is the holding area, where she is seen by doctors before surgery. She also meets Nurse Penny. The doctors and nurses answer any questions Allison or her mom may want to ask. The nurse takes Allison to the operating room. Allison thinks those people are dressed funny, but she knows they wear those clothes and masks and gloves so that everything will stay very clean. Allison can see the doctors and nurses smiling even when they have their masks on. She can see their smiling eyes. The nurse shows her the big lights, but says that they won't be turned on until Allison is asleep. She also hooks Allison to other machines in the room and explains what they do. The anesthesiologist gives her medicine in her IV or through a mask that covers her mouth and nose. She'll go to sleep and she won't feel anything. When Allison's surgery is done, they take her to the recovery room. Allison's nurse puts a mask over her mouth and nose that blows air to help her wake up. She also takes Allison's temperature and blood pressure and calls Allison's mom to tell her that she is in the recovery room. As soon as Allison is awake, the nurse takes her to the pediatric intensive care unit. But sometimes children go back to a room on pediatrics. Allison's nurse in the pediatric intensive care unit hooks up the monitors which show her heartbeat and how she is breathing. She also gives Allison some medicine if she is hurting. The respiratory therapist visits and helps Allison keep her lungs clear by encouraging her to blow in the spirometer. Later that day, the physical and occupational therapists visit and help Allison learn some exercises, which are fun and will also make her arms stronger. When Allison is feeling better, she is moved back to a room on pediatrics. The hospital teacher helps her with her school assignments in the hospital classroom. Allison also likes to go to the playroom and play games with the other patients. And when the weather is nice, they can play outside in a special playground. When Allison's ready to go home, she feels sad to say goodbye to all her new friends. She visited many places and met many people during her stay at the Children's Hospital of Eastern North Carolina. But now she's happy just to go home, to her family, her friends, and her school, and especially her puppy dog Sneakers.